Welcome to RF Experience Mini Talks. Today we're going to talk with our guest, Dr. Pascal Viot, who is from Paleo Festival in Switzerland. Pascal is the head of department for service, safety and security at an amazing festival where I've been lucky to visit several times. Welcome, Pascal. So we're going to talk about collaboration with artists. Why do we even need to talk about that?
I would say we are in a collaboration between the artist representative, security directors of artists, and our side as responsible of the safety of the attendees. So we have to deal with this collaboration the best way in order to provide the best condition for one side the show to be as exceptional as it has to be, and in the other hand to keep the spectator safe.
What kind of challenges have you experienced or seen in your years working at Paleo Festival?
We are working for years on these questions. Our role is to deal with the safety of the public, of the audience. So we have to be very aware about crowd density, crowd movement, trying to react with the best actions in case of danger. And while discussing with the artist representative, of course, their role is to protect the artist. And sometimes they think they have the responsibility of taking care of the audience, but it's not. It's sharing roles and trying to find the best complementarity of all both roles. So the challenges are to make it clear for the artist representative that we have our own way to do it. We are well experienced. Our festival, Paleo Festival, is running since more than 45 years now. I am personally involved in the organization for more than 20 years. I used to be the head of the security for the main stage for many years. So I know the job and I know my team. I train them. I try to improve their skills years after years. So we know how to do the job. So while discussing with artist representative, we need to, let's say, maybe we can give them the best information about where they are, because we are a festival in Switzerland. It's a particular country. We are all know rules, regulations, laws, and in the end of the day, we are by law responsible for the safety of attendees. So the question is, who has the lead in the discussion? And that's probably the main challenge we have while hosting, especially big productions.
When do your collaboration start?
Yeah, I try, and years after years, we start earlier and earlier. We did realize that it was an issue if you just start the discussion as soon as the artists are arriving. So we are in contact months before the festival, starting with discussing about their requirement. And this year, for the first time, I really wrote down a document summing up the festival security policy, explaining how we do, or we think, the way to elaborate, and providing also our procedure, because it's, we are hosting artists, it's our home, and there is some rules specific to our venue or our festival, so we have to explain it, and we have to play the rules that are our rules, and of course they can have their expectations or requirements, but our goal is to make it compatible with our standard rules. So it takes time. So as soon as we start the discussion, the more we can be effective in finding the balance.
Has there been a change in the industry since you, after 20 years at the festival, now write it down and started that? Is there a change in the industry, or is it more you figuring out you need it?
It's both, actually. With the experience of the past years, we realized that we were not so clear, probably, about our expectations. So we were so into trying to welcome the artist the best way. We were sometimes trying to compromise with our security policy, and that's not the best way to do it. So, and in the other hand, of course, for the last 20 years, we know more about the risks related to artists performing on stage and massive crowd attending concerts. So we learned from each other while discussing, for example, between festivals, and we know nowadays that there is some, let's say, some standards. There's things that are obviously dangerous, and there is some others that we can live with. With the experience of all the editions, we could do the fine-tuning about the way to provide our services. We also implemented some measurements. Observers watching at the crowd, CCTV system in place, improving the show stop procedure as well. So we are now, let's say, quite confident with the way we are working, and maybe it's now time to be more confident as well in the relation with the artist representatives.
The accident at Astroworld in 2021, one of the learning outcomes in the report afterwards said that you must have a show stop procedure. How is your show stop procedure?
That's interesting, because Astroworld took place in USA, but the impact of this disaster is, for me, very, very key in this, let's say, this history time. Why? Because 20 years after the Roskilde accident, which was also a focusing event, very a shock for all the festival community, and all the festivals realized at that time that it was time to consider this very seriously. 20 years after, things are changing. There is some new people in the industry, and new let's say new style of concerts, new artists. Travis Scott is in the train of hip hop music, urban music. The most popular acts are coming from this style of music, and this music generates some crowd movement, and we really have to be aware about the crowd, because if you look at the crowd profile for that kind of music, the audience is young, a majority of female, so physically they are more vulnerable to crowd pressure and to crowd movement. So it's, for me, Travis Scott Astroworld was just a light to remind us that that's a challenge nowadays, and if we want to keep the people safe, if we want to avoid a disaster, we need to consider this kind of music, that kind of concert, very, very carefully. So to answer your question related to the show stop procedure, we have been working for years on that one. First, we took this solution of yellow and red card. So yellow card is a show stop in order to see if everything is good, if the crowd is safe, and then we are in the idea to restart the show. And red card is, of course, we did have clue, and we know that there is a problem. Maybe some people are already injured, and it's a show stop in order to provide them the best service, medical service, and so on. So that's the first point. Second point is, how do we make the decision? As I said, we have some observers in the front of stage, and using the cameras, the CCTV system. These guys are only watching at crowd movement, and they are talking to the decision makers, who are first the head of security and safety for the stage, the venue manager, we call it like that, head of technical staff and head of production for the stage, and one representative of the artist. So it could be the tour manager, it could be the security director, and the three of them make the decision in the majority. Two people are enough to stop the show. It's very important to explain that procedure and the way we are using it at Paleo, because we want the artist representative to be fully involved in the procedure, and we want them to be able to explain it to the artist, because the artist is on stage. He is the one that everybody is looking at, and he plays a key role in the process. First, because he will be the one to communicate with the crowd. And if these conditions are not provided, are not guaranteed, this will be an issue. This will be a problem to launch the procedure and to keep the people safe. So we have clear rules, clear procedure, and we want to explain it as clear as they are to the artist representative in order to be able to collaborate the best way.
After the accident at Roskilde Festival 2000, in the report from this district attorney, it says that there is imminent danger of life if there is a crowd collapse within 3 to 4 minutes. How fast can you stop the show?
That's a good question, and I would say it's all about training, educate people to be aware to early signs of danger. It's very difficult to say here is the limit, because of course a crowd is a dynamic entity. People in the crowd are moving, are pushing, and it's a part of the enjoyment of being a part of a concert. But there is some signs, and we have to watch it very carefully when some people fall down and are not able to stand again. When some people in the crowd are asking for help. And you were talking about Arthur Rold. That was the most shocking element. Crowd members were asking for a show stop, and we didn't consider that. So we have to have people very used to crowd movements, to crowd dynamics, very experienced in their view, the eyes they have on the crowd, and what could be considered as a danger or not. So that's why this team, these observers for the stages, are the most experienced people that we have in our staff.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Pascal. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to the viewers. Thank you.